On June 12th, the biggest stock market debut in history starts trading, SpaceX going public at the highest price tag any company has ever carried onto its first day of trading. And somewhere in the first few minutes, the price is going to jump. Maybe a lot. The moment it does, millions of people are going to take that jump as proof they need to get in before it's too late. Here's the problem with that instinct. Back in 2021, Rivian had one of the hottest opening days anyone had seen, up 22%. Over the next year, it fell 67. Reddit did the opposite. It dropped on day one, looked like a flop, then climbed nearly 150%. The first day told you nothing in both cases. So before you let opening day decide this for you, let's do the math everyone's skipping. Let me be clear about what this video is and what it isn't. This isn't a video about SpaceX being a bad company. By almost any measure, it's an extraordinary one. It launches more rockets than entire nations, and its satellite network reaches more than 160 countries. So if you came here looking for someone to tell you the rockets won't fly, that's not what this is. This is about something different, and in a way more important. The difference between a great company and a great investment at a given price, on a given day. Those are not the same thing, and the gap between them is exactly where ordinary investors lose money on deals like this one. Here's the part most people never see. An IPO isn't a single event where everyone shows up and buys at the same price. It's a sequence, a machine built in a very specific order, and the people who designed that machine sit at the front of the line. By the time you, sitting at home, are able to click buy, several groups have already taken their positions ahead of you. Most of the day one excitement is engineered to make you forget that. So over the next few minutes, I'm going to walk you through that machine, one stage at a time. We'll look at what you'd actually be buying, what the price really is compared to the business underneath it, who got the good seats and who didn't, what history says tends to happen next, and the wave most retail buyers never see coming. By the end, you won't need me to tell you what to do. You'll be able to run the numbers yourself. Let's build this from the ground up, because every part that follows depends on it. A company like SpaceX has been private for years. That means its shares are owned by a relatively small group, its founders, its employees, and the investment firms that funded it along the way. You couldn't buy those shares in your brokerage account no matter how much you wanted to. An initial public offering, an IPO, is the moment that changes. The company sells a slice of itself to the public for the first time, and from then on, its shares trade on an exchange where anyone can buy and sell. SpaceX will trade on the NASDAQ under the ticker SPCX, and the first day of trading is targeted for June 12th. Now here's the piece that matters most, and the piece that gets glossed over in all the excitement. There are actually two different prices involved, not one. The first is called the IPO price. For SpaceX, that's $135 a share. This is the price set before the stock ever trades, negotiated between the company and the big banks running the deal. The shares sold at that price go almost entirely to large institutions and a limited pool of insiders. The second price is the one you'll probably actually pay. When the stock opens for public trading on June 12th, it opens at whatever buyers and sellers agree to in the open market. And for a deal this hyped, that opening price is almost always higher, sometimes much higher than the $135 IPO price. Hold on to that gap between the two prices. It's going to matter more than almost anything else, and we'll come back to exactly who profits from it. Before we talk about whether the price makes sense, we have to be honest about what's underneath it. So let's look at the actual business, using the numbers the company itself put in its filing. In 2025, SpaceX brought in about $18.7 billion in revenue. That's a serious large business, but here's the first thing the headlines don't lead with. In that same year, the company didn't make a profit. It lost roughly $4.9 billion. Now, where does that revenue come from? This surprises a lot of people. Most of us think of SpaceX as a rocket company, but the rockets are no longer the main story. The single biggest piece of the business is Starlink, the satellite internet service, which brought in about $11.4 billion, roughly 61% of all revenue. And more than that, Starlink is the only part of the company turning a meaningful profit, generating around $4.4 billion in operating income. The launch business, the rockets themselves, is growing, but slowly. And the artificial intelligence piece the company recently folded in is, at this stage, burning cash rather than making it. So when you buy a share of SpaceX, you're really buying one profitable engine, Starlink, towing several heavier money-losing cars behind it. There's a reasonable case that those other cars become valuable someday. But someday is doing a lot of work in that sentence. And as we're about to see, the price is being set as if someday is already here. One honest note so no one can accuse us of cherry picking. That 18.7 billion includes the AI business on paper for the full year, even though it only joined the company partway through. Strip it out, and the picture leans even more heavily on Starlink. Either way, the conclusion is the same. One engine is doing almost all the real work. Now we can finally talk about the number, and I want to show it to you in a way that the breathless coverage won't. Most videos will tell you SpaceX is going public at a $1.75 trillion valuation, and let the sheer size of that number do the talking. That's true, but it's not the most revealing part. The most revealing part is how fast that number got there. Rewind less than a year. In the middle of 2025, SpaceX was valued, in a private sale of its own shares, at around $400 billion. By the time it goes public, that figure is 1.75 trillion. That's a 4.4 times increase in roughly 11 months. So you'd expect the business underneath to have grown enormously in that time, right? It didn't. Revenue grew about a third. The rockets didn't get 4 times better. The satellites didn't quadruple. What got 4 times more expensive was the story. Let me put the final price in terms you can actually judge. At $1.75 trillion against about $18.7 billion in sales, you are paying roughly $94 for every single dollar of revenue this company brings in. 94 to 1. For a business that, again, is currently losing money. To give you a sense of how steep that is, most large, established, profitable companies trade somewhere in the low single digits to low double digits on that same measure. Even the market's most beloved high flyers rarely sustain anything close to 94. And this isn't just my opinion. One of the most respected independent research firms on Wall Street ran its own detailed valuation of SpaceX and concluded the company is worth roughly $780 billion. About 55% below the price it's going public at. Notice something about that number. 780 billion is almost exactly what SpaceX was privately valued at just months earlier. In other words, the entire run-up to 1.75 trillion happened in the window right before the public was invited in. Here's one more way to feel how stretched this is. Remember that Starlink is the only piece actually making money, about 4.4 billion in operating profit. Suppose you valued that profit generously, the way investors price a thriving, growing business, at, say, 40 times those earnings. That would value Starlink, the crown jewel, at around $176 billion. The whole company is being sold to you for $1.75 trillion, so the profitable core explains only about a tenth of the price. The other 90% is a bet on things that haven't happened yet. So if the price is that stretched, why does it keep climbing on day one? To answer that, you have to understand the order people stand in, because it's a relay race, and you're not the first runner. You're the last. Picture the $135 IPO price as the starting line. The runners who get to start there are the big institutions and the insiders the banks hand shares to before trading opens. They lock in their position at that price, quietly, days ahead of time. That's the front of the line. Now, this particular deal has an unusual feature. Normally, ordinary investors are allocated almost nothing in a hot IPO, something like 5 to 10% of shares, and even that mostly goes to very wealthy clients. SpaceX is doing something different. As much as 30% of the offering is being steered toward everyday retail investors through the popular brokerage apps. That sounds generous. Be careful. Generosity is rarely the explanation when Wall Street widens the door. Because here's what happens to most people regardless. Even with that larger retail slice, demand for a deal this famous wildly outstrips the shares available. Most people who want in won't get an allocation at 135. So when the stock opens for trading and they still want it, they do the only thing they can. They buy on the open market at the popped up price. And who's standing on the other side of that trade, ready to sell to them? Often the very people who got the cheap seats at the starting line. That's the relay. The bat-on, the risk, gets passed from the people who bought low to the people who show up late and buy high. The pop everyone celebrates on day one isn't proof the stock is great. Mechanically, it's just the sound of the baton changing hands, and the person holding it at the end of the race is the one standing in their living room tapping buy on their phone, convinced they got in early. They didn't. They got in last. Okay, you've seen the price, and you've seen the order. Now let's talk about what actually tends to happen after a debut like this. Because there's a trap here that's more clever than the stock simply going down. Here's the setup most people miss. There's a rule change that can force a wave of automatic buying into a stock like this shortly after it lists. Big index funds, the kind sitting inside millions of retirement accounts, can be required to buy a newly public company once it qualifies, whether they think it's a good price or not. That forced buying can actually push the price up in the first days and weeks. Think about what that means for you specifically. If you hold an index fund inside a retirement account, and most people watching this do, you may end up owning a sliver of SpaceX automatically at whatever inflated price the market has set without ever deciding to. The choice gets made for you, and it gets made at the top. And it gets worse because that artificial lift is precisely the rich, elevated price that insiders are itching to sell into. The propped up price isn't a floor protecting you. It's a launch ramp for the people getting out. It creates the exit, and you're the one providing it. Underneath that propped up price, the historical record is brutal. According to research on the life cycle of public offerings, more than 90% of IPOs trade below their first day low at some point. Not their high, their low. More than 9 in 10 eventually dip beneath the worst price of their opening day, which brings us back to where we started this whole video. Remember Rivian and Reddit? Rivian had one of the most exciting opening days in recent memory, up 22%, and then fell 67% over the next year. Reddit looked like a dud on day one, slipping lower, and then climbed nearly 150%. The lesson isn't that stocks always fall, the lesson is sharper and more useful than that. The first day tells you nothing. The excitement you'll feel watching SPCX pop on June 12th is not information. It feels like information. It feels like confirmation. But the data says a strong open and a weak open are equally likely to reverse. And noise is the one thing you should never hand your money to. There's one more stage to this machine, and it's the one that catches retail investors most reliably, because it's printed in plain sight months ahead of time, and people still get blindsided by it. When a company goes public, the insiders, employees, early investors, usually can't sell their shares right away. They're locked up for a period, often around 180 days. The reason is simple. If everyone who owned cheap shares could dump them on day one, the price would collapse instantly. The lockup holds that flood back. But here's the thing about a dam. The water doesn't disappear, it just waits, and when the lockup lifts, that held-back supply can come pouring into the market all at once, pushing the price down. Often right around the time the early hype has faded, and there are fewer eager buyers left to absorb it. SpaceX has designed something even trickier than the usual single release. Instead of one date where the dam opens, it's set up more like a series of timed releases. A meaningful chunk of insider shares can start hitting the market just a couple of days after the company's first quarterly report as a public company, which would land only a few months after the debut, likely late summer. More tranches free up at intervals after that, with a further large block releasing after the next quarterly report and the remainder around the standard 6-month mark. The founder himself has agreed to hold his own stake for a full year, which sounds reassuring until you realize everyone else isn't on that schedule. And notice the cruelty of the timing. Those first releases tend to arrive right as the opening excitement is wearing off, when the headlines have moved on and the crowd of eager buyers has thinned. Fresh supply meets fading demand. That combination is exactly what pushes a price down, and it's arriving on a schedule the insiders could read in advance and most buyers never will. So picture the calendar. Not one wave, several, spaced out, each one a fresh batch of insiders finally allowed to cash out. And each time the buyers absorbing that supply are, once again, ordinary investors who got excited and bought in. Exit liquidity, that's the unglamorous term for what the latecomer becomes. Let's bring this all together with the only question that really matters. Forget predicting the stock. Nobody, not me, not the analysts, not the loudest person in your group chat, knows what SPCX will do next month. So instead of guessing the outcome, let's measure the bet. Let's ask, what would SpaceX actually have to achieve just to make buying at this price worth it? And to keep it fair, let's set the bar as low as we honestly can. Forget getting rich. Let's just ask what it takes to match what you'd have earned doing the boring, lazy thing. Buying a plain index fund and forgetting about it. Call that around 10% a year. Start at the $1.75 trillion price. To grow at 10% a year for 10 years, SpaceX would need to be worth about $4.5 trillion a decade from now. Fine. Now, what does the business have to look like to justify $4.5 trillion? Let's be generous and assume that by then it's a mature, admired company trading at a healthy multiple of its sales, richer than most blue chips ever earn. Even with that generous assumption, the math demands the company be pulling in something like $566 billion in revenue. Sit with that for a second. $566 billion, up from about $18.7 billion today. That's roughly 30 times its current revenue. To get there in 10 years, SpaceX would have to grow its revenue around 41% every single year, for 10 years straight, without stumbling once. Almost no company at this scale in history has ever done that. To put 41% a year in perspective, that's faster, for longer, than almost any technology giant you can name managed in its single best decade. And SpaceX would have to do it starting from a base of nearly $19 billion, not from a garage. And remember, that Herculean result is what's required just to tie the index fund, just to break even against doing nothing. For you to actually come out ahead, reality has to beat even that. So the honest conclusion isn't that SpaceX will fail. It's that at $135 a share, you're not buying a great company at a fair price. You're paying upfront for a near miracle, and getting the index fund's return only if that miracle fully arrives. So where does that leave you if you're genuinely drawn to this company? Because the price is steep is not the same as never touch it. There's a smarter path than the two loud options. The first loud option is to chase the hype, buy on day one, at the popped price at the end of the relay right before the supply waves. We've now seen, step by step, why that's the weakest seat in the house. The second loud option is to dismiss the whole thing forever, which throws out a genuinely remarkable business on principle. The third path is quieter, and it costs you nothing but patience. You let time do the work that hype is trying to rush you past. A few months from now, SpaceX will have reported real results as a public company, actual numbers on the record that you can hold it to. The forced index buying will have run its course. The first waves of insider selling will have washed through. The price will have had a chance to find a level that reflects the business instead of the excitement. None of that requires you to predict anything. It just requires you to not be in a hurry. And here's the part worth remembering. The best companies of the last few decades stayed buyable for years. You did not have to own them on day one to do extraordinarily well. The market rewards the patient far more reliably than it rewards the early. The thing being sold to you as a once-in-a-lifetime act-now moment is, almost always, a stock that will still be there next quarter, at a price set by reality instead of by a countdown clock. The single most powerful thing in this entire video wasn't any one fact. It was the question we asked in that last big section. Not what will it do, but what would it have to do to be worth it? That question works on any stock you'll ever consider, not just this one. That's exactly why we built a tool for it. For our members, the Wealth Logicians, there's a calculator in the vault that runs that same expectations test for you. You plug in a company's price, its revenue, and your own goals, and it shows you the growth that price is quietly demanding, so you can see before you buy anything, whether you're paying for a business or paying for a story. If that's the kind of thinking you want in your corner, the vault is where it lives. But whether you ever touch the calculator or not, take the habit with you. The number on the screen on June 12th will be loud, the countdown will feel urgent, and none of it changes the quiet math we just did. Great company, extraordinary story. But a price that's already written a miracle into the script. Watch the open if you like. Just don't mistake the noise for a reason. I'll see you in the next one.